My fellow Democrats, it's my immense honour and pleasure to address this historic virtual Federal Congress. The DA has shown this year that we will not let adversity throw us off course, and this Congress is no exception. I'm so proud to be part of something so groundbreaking and new. To all of our delegates who have linked up to this platform, thank you for your time and for being part of this incredible first in South Africa. Not only are we making history here today, we're also securing the future, because our country's future is tied to the future of the DA. And so I want to say to all of our members, all of our activists, all of our professional staff, and all of our public representatives, thank you. Your daily efforts to fight for a better South Africa are important and they're effective. Now, you may not always see this effect from where you stand, but I assure you we are moving the dial in the right direction. We are steering conversations the right way. We are touching lives through our actions, and we are spreading the word that there is a better alternative to the government that has disappointed South Africa so badly. Your work may feel thankless and exhausting at times, but we're on the right track and we're making progress. So stay energized and keep your eyes on the goal. For now, that goal is next year's local government election, and we have no time to lose in putting the disaster that was 2020 behind us. I'm sure given the choice, most of us would wish to rewind and start the year over. Living with the effects of our lockdown economy and society has been hard on everyone. And it has been so painful to watch so many South Africans lose everything they had built. It's been painful to watch the number of unemployed South Africans grow by the day, as millions lost their jobs and were forced into a life of desperation and begging. It's been painful to watch the businesses on our main roads and our malls close their doors one by one. Each of these businesses, not only someone's dream, but also a lifeline to its employees and their families. And it has been painful to know that most of this, almost all of it, was not necessary. Other than the initial 3-week lockdown to prep hospitals and source equipment back in March, the devastation of the past 7 months has achieved very little. So yes, it's been a tough year, and it will take a long time for us to get over it. But there has been one silver lining to this dark cloud. If it weren't for this challenging year, we would have not seen the very best of the DA up against the very worst of the ANC. Now, we always speak of the DA difference, the tangible benefits of living in a town, city or province where the DA governs. And normally this difference is built up over years and years of perfecting systems, of finding the right people, and of trimming the sails of our policies just right. But this year, that difference was compressed into just 7 months of COVID response. And this has made it incredibly real and very visible. Never before has the water between the DA and the ANC in government been as clear and blue and as vast as it is right now. This makes me proud to be part of this effort, and it should make you proud too. With the Western Cape being the early epicenter of infections, all eyes were on the government of Premier Alan Winde, and by extension on us as a party. It was a time fraught with danger, not only in terms of our health, but also for our reputation as a party of government. But despite the best efforts of our opponents, including some in the media, to cast aspersions and draw dishonest conclusions as infections rose throughout the province, the response of our Western Cape government was near faultless. This became irrefutable once infections in the rest of the country started to catch up, and the hopeless inadequacies of the ANC were exposed for all to see. The speed and efficiency which hospitals were repurposed and field hospitals set up and staffed in the Western Cape stands untouchable as a benchmark in South Africa. This should never have been in question, though. Barely a year earlier, the province had emerged from the worst and longest drought in recent history. And there, too, the DA governments of the city of Cape Town and the Western Cape proved to be up to the task. Despite winning global recognition for this effort to defeat Day Zero, it really took a looming Day Zero in the neighbouring Eastern Cape to show just how wide the gulf is between the DA and the ANC in government. We may be in opposition nationally, but we often find ourselves leading the way and setting the benchmark. And that is something we should not only be proud of, but which we must also use to our advantage. actions speak louder than words. We have a year now in which to convince voters in municipalities and metros across the country of that DA difference, and nothing is more convincing than results. Let us show through our track record in government that there is no comparison. And here, I'm not only talking about our governments in Cape Town and the Western Cape. We have flagship municipalities in places like Midvaal in Gauteng and Kruger in the Eastern Cape too, where the difference between these areas and their ANC-run neighbours grows wider every single day. Our governments are our strength. They are our biggest weapons over the next 12 months. So let's go out there and put them on full display. Let us aim not to put a foot wrong where we govern, because there are plenty of people willing us to fail. There are plenty of people who cannot wait for the first DA misstep, so they can draw a parallel with decades of ANC misrule. We are indeed held to a higher standard, and we are judged on a completely different scorecard by the commentariat, who cannot seem to escape the ANC's grip on South African politics and life. Believe me, this frustrates me as much as it does you. But here's the thing. We can either throw our hands up and complain about our unfair treatment of the press, or we can see it as a reflection of the expectation people still have for us. The fact that the DA has been set a higher pass mark than the ANC is a recognition of our capabilities. We must strive to live up to this standard and far more. Let them lower all expectations for the ANC and write off any chance at a clean, honest and efficient ANC government. And let them hold the DA to a higher standard and place us under the microscope. In the short term, this might frustrate us, but in the long run, it will strengthen us. Because it will help paint the DA as the only credible alternative. It will help us cement our claim as the only government that can and will improve the lives of South Africans. So don't become discouraged these next 12 months. We know what the DA stands for, and we know what we're capable of. Winston Churchill once said, "It is wonderful what strides can be made when there's resolute purpose behind them." Well, we certainly have a resolute purpose behind our stride. I don't need to tell you that. Each of you knows the kind of South Africa the DA wants to build. You know what drives us to do what we do. And we also know how we can get there. At our recent policy conference, we chose our route. We backed our policy offer as the best way of moving our country from a stagnant economy where millions are excluded towards one that is resilient, investor-friendly, and inclusive. We also chose to commit to the values necessary to build this prosperous and just South Africa. And this includes the value of non-racialism. Yes, there was much hand-wringing when we did so, mostly from the ANC itself, but also from those voices in the media who cannot seem to escape the toxic spell of the ruling party. In a series of bizarre twists of logic, they tried to paint this as a step backwards. Don't listen to them. Don't let them rewrite history and tell you that non-racialism has suddenly, in the 21st century, become a bad thing, because it's simply not true. A non-racial South Africa is the only South Africa worth fighting for, and it is the only way we will free people from the shackles of the past and lift them out of poverty and into opportunity. Not so long ago, everyone agreed on this. The ANC itself adopted non-racialism as one of its guiding values more than 30 years ago. But today they will pretend that that never happened. Today, with their backs against the wall of government failures, they have turned to the last refuge of the fading liberation movement: racial nationalism and divisive identity politics. Unable to build a united country, they've retreated into the lager of race politics with all its scapegoating and all of its blame. The more they and parties like the EFF beat this drum, the bigger the temptation will be for others to follow them down this path. But this kind of populism cannot and will not build a strong, unified nation. Yes, it's easier to whip up fear, anger, mistrust and hatred. And for a while it might work. But the ultimate cost is just far too high. We're so much more than just representatives of our particular demographic. We are individuals with unique views and unique dreams. And it's going to have to take a government that understands this to really unlock the potential of those dreams. We have to hold the center. We have to strengthen the center. And we have to bring people into the center with us. And the only way to do so is through shared values, shared ideas, and a shared vision. We need to show people that our vision for South Africa is essentially the same as theirs. Parties that speak of us and them are not the future of this country. Parties that are home to one race, one language, or one religion are not the future of this country. There is only one party of significant size that can say it speaks for all and is a home to all, and that is our DA. Our members, our activists, our staff, our public reps and our leaders show a diversity you will find in no other party in South Africa. That is the future of this country. Our task now is to convince people to join us in setting out for that future. And it's a task made easier by the fact that we have rediscovered our values and our purpose. We are no longer a party adrift. We no longer seek approval and affirmation by riding the prevailing winds while being blown this way and that in the process. We are not a weather vane anymore, but a fixed signpost for people to follow. And you'd be amazed at how reassuring this can be for people seeking a political home.